Hi, shotties. I'm Raga.
I'm Gia.
I'm Sankalpa.
And
welcome to Espresso Shot, a podcast from a Desi lens discussing anything and everything from mental health to coffee.
We hope y'all are having a beautiful day. I'm sure y'all heard a new voice. So this episode we have a guest, and that is Sankalpa. We met, she lives on my floor, and that's how we met. Sankalpa, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi. I live on Gia's floor. I met her, I think, a little bit before the school year started, so I've known her for months. I can't do math, but for many months now. And yeah, I am a chemical engineering major at UT Austin, and fun facts about me is I can only snap with my left hand, but I'm right-handed. So take that to mean what you will.
That is a fun fact.
What is everyone drinking today is my question, because I'm very excited.
Yes.
Okay, so what am I drinking?
Okay, should I just introduce you?
Yes.
Okay, so we got coffee from the Texas X's coffee shop, which is actually probably the best coffee shop on campus.
It's so cute.
It's so good. And that's the Texas Alumni Center. So it's like really nice. Anyways, Raga is drinking a honey lavender latte with oat milk?
Yes, with oat milk.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's good. I think the oat milk like adds a nice creaminess to it.
Yeah, it does. I can't do whole milk, but I shouldn't have got it iced because allergies, and now I'm more congested.
Oh no.
This is not a cute look for me, but all in all, it's pretty good. And I don't like sweet things either, at least in my drinks, but this tastes like really stable, so it's good. What are you drinking, Gia?
I'm drinking a butterscotch latte, and I would have gotten oat milk in it, but I got whole milk because I'm running really low on my Bevo bucks, and oat milk is like $50. Also,
$50.
$50, 50 cents.
No, it's 80 cents, I think,
It's
depending on
80
where you
cents.
are. Like, I've seen it, like, they'll be, like, doing a little total, and it's, like, plus 80 cents, plus 50 cents for vanilla. I'm like,
No, I know, and it's a problem because whenever I get something with milk, I also add, like, an extra shot, and so that's $2 extra. It's really bad.
No. Yeah. Oat milk is $50. Anyways, funny story, I actually threw up this morning, and I was highly debating if I should get coffee or not, and I kind of caved, but I took my medication, and by medication, I mean allergy medication, on an empty stomach, and then I was like, Michelle's my roommate, Michelle, I don't feel so good. And she's like, what do you mean you don't feel so good? I was like, I think I'm gonna throw up. Which has the same energy as like going to your mom when you're like a kid in the middle of the night and being like, I threw up. Same energy. Anyway, I threw up this morning, and like I've been feeling a little meh. I don't know what that sound was, but it was a sound. And I got coffee. That was a long story. Anyway, Sankalpa, what were you drinking today?
Yes. So I have a caffeine problem. And by a caffeine problem, I mean that if I have anything with caffeine in it past 1 p.m. 1 p.m. is my cutoff. If I have like an entire drink, I will not be able to sleep properly that night unless I'm like exhausted, which is like very rare. So because I'm a little weakling, I had my caffeine a little early in the morning, and I made something that is a little como se dice, noxious. I don't know what I did. I had some yerba, so I bought yerba mate tea, so it's not like from like, you know, what's the company, Guanaki or something.
Yeah,
it's not from that. It's just from like some random HEB brand. So I got that, and like I'd been brewing it. It had been brewing for 2 days because I forgot for the last 2 days to bring it to class with me. And I was like, well, I don't want to waste it, so I like dumped half of it in the thing. But I was like, I kind of want matcha. So from Trader Joe's, I had this green tea matcha tea latte powder. So I put a little bit of that in, put some sugar in, put a little bit of vanilla extract in, a little bit of oat milk, and mix that up, and then kind of just drank that. So
Oh my god.
I am definitely
That's a lot.
That's a concoction.
That's definitely a concoction. It was pretty fine. Definitely was on the same level as my chickpea cookie dough, but that's a story for another time.
She had me try some. I was like, what are you eating? She's like, why don't you try some? And then let me know what you think it is. And so
She had no idea.
I was like, I taste chickpeas and it's sweet and there's peanut butter, but I feel like all those things are wrong.
Did you make it yourself?
Yeah, because you're supposed to use a food processor to get the right texture.
She didn't process it.
Where am I gonna get a food processor?
Break into the J2 kitchen.
I don't think they have like materials like that in the Jester kitchen. So I just had a little Ziploc bag. I microwaved it and I just did a little smash. And so the consistency was a little off, but like, aren't we all a little off?
Facts.
That's very true.
Last night, Sankalpa, I was doing stats on my carpet last night, going through it, and all of a sudden I hear the typical knock that's like, hey, can I come in? And that's Sankalpa, always. She always comes in at like 10 p.m. and I love having her. And she like skedaddles in my room. She's like, can I borrow the chocolate chips? And I was like, oh no. I know she's using the chocolate chips to save some concoction. And I just didn't question it. I was like, they're over there.
Yeah. I used a lot in a very vain attempt, but yeah.
Oh, no.
I just
I
spilled
do-
my coffee.
I will say though, I feel like me always coming into Gio's room, it's always, I feel like, kind of a sign of like how I like love her, because like I always like just want to spend time with her, and like I feel like quality time is something that's very important for me.
Ooh.
Is that a little hinty hint at the episode?
So
It might be.
Yeah. This episode is an episode on affection, and today we're going to be talking about self-expression and how we received affection from our parents. But before we get into that, I just wanted to let y'all know something funny. We actually had a different episode topic that we recorded like a week or two ago, and we had some recording issues and we weren't able to post it, and we decided to like completely scrap it. And then we started talking and we were brainstorming again, and affection and love languages came up, and that's why we decided to like do this instead.
yeah.
All right, so like I mentioned earlier, this is an episode on affection, and we wanted to kind of break down the milk and cream of this episode into two parts, which is like affection and its different forms, as in how we show affection to ourselves through self-expression, and also how we've received it from family and friends, and the way we've been raised, and like how our Desi culture has influenced that. And also a little fun thing that we did is we all took the 5 love languages test. If you haven't heard of it before, it's broken down into 5 love languages, like it says in the name, which is quality time, physical touch, words of affirmation, acts of service, and receiving gifts. And we all took the test, but we don't know what each other's results are. So we're gonna find that out today. And before we get into self-expression, I wanted to ask you, Sankalpa, what were your love language results?
Yeah, so I think it would be a little fun if you guys wanted to try to guess the top one. Just because I feel like you guys know me at varying degrees, and mine have definitely shifted over, I think, the time that you guys have known me. So, if you guys want to guess.
Okay. Okay, I think it'd be acts of service.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say gifts,
Uh-huh.
because Sankalpa always like puts little notes on my door, or she always asks like, let me know if you need anything, and she's always like the first one to like give me like ibuprofen or like snacks or food. And so my mind wants to go gifts, but I think Raga might be onto something with acts of service, so I'm gonna agree with her on that.
Okay.
You guys, it is indeed acts of service.
Wow.
Did you see it on my laptop screen?
No, but I
Oh.
remember when we were brainstorming, you like
Oh.
mentioned it.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
interesting because right now, originally I think like I took this quiz, I I took it before, I think, the school year, and mine was, like, totally, like, words of affirmation. Like, usually, like, my primary two for, like, a long time have been, like, words of affirmation, quality time. But my friends now, those aren't really their love languages. So, like, they kind of focus more on, like, they're very, like, receiving gifts, quality time. I feel like everyone's a quality time person, but that's, like, a tangent for later. But they're very, like, acts of service. Like, they're like, oh, like, you're busy, I'm gonna go pick you up some food. Or, like, I know that you're not feeling well, so I'm going to go. Sorry, Gia's struggling to hold in the sneeze. We are all congested baddies right now.
We're collectively dying from allergies.
Yeah, but I think my love language has totally changed to be more acts of service because of my friends, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
But I have 0% physical touch, which I thought was really funny.
That's hilarious.
I think that's so funny because, like, I will give people hugs, like, all the time. For me, I don't think I think it just doesn't mean as much to me anymore. I think it's just something that I just give away so freely. It's not as meaningful. But for me, because I'm such a busy person, I know that when someone takes time out of their day to do some, like, sort of, like, act of service or quality time, or, like, you know, spend quality time with me, that means a lot to me.
Do you think part of the reason your love language is acts of service now, like you mentioned, like, the whole, like, friends being busy and, like, taking the time out of their day for you, do you think, like, coming to college has influenced that? Because, like, when someone takes, like, schedules time for you in a way that, like, they want to do something for you, they go out of their way. Again, I'm kind of all over the place with this question, but do you think that's because of coming to college?
Oh, for sure,
being
coming
busy?
to college. Because before, it was, as I think I mentioned before, like, it was very words of affirmation, very, like, words of affirmation, very, like, quality time. But now it's been a lot more, like, acts of service. Like, that means so much more to me than, like, I don't rely as much on someone being like, I love you or I'm proud of you to, like, know that they are, because they show that in other ways. So that's been fun. But Raga, what about you?
Okay, so my first one is words of affirmation. It's at, like, 40%, which is wild, but also expected, because that was my second most last time. My first one was physical touch, but that dropped down to, like, 4th. Yeah, no, I know. And then acts of service, which is kind of wild, because I don't see it, but, like, if it says so, I guess it's true. And then it's quality time, and then lastly, receiving gifts. That one I expected. Like, gifts have never been at the top for me. It's never gone up past the 5th one. But yeah, that's that. I mean, words of affirmation, though, I think I can tell that it's become more, like, important to me, especially in the last few months or so. I think I respond to it a lot more than I did in high school. But yeah.
Do you think part of the reason that words of affirmation is more prominent, is a more prominent love language, is because I know you mentioned in the past that, like, you're really close to your mom, and now that, you know, even though you're from Austin, you're further away from her now, and, like, hearing her voice on the phone and, like, hearing how she's so proud of you, and, like, also with being in design and having that, like, verbal validation, do you think those could be two reasons that words of affirmation is, like, at the top of your list?
Those are exactly why it's at the top of the list. Yeah, I was, like, even thinking about it the other day, but it's, like, my parents are very, like, words of affirmation based. Like, they'll always be the first to tell me and my sister, like, you're doing great, you're doing, like, a really good job at whatever. Like, even if we're slacking on other things, they bring up the stuff that we're doing good at, and it's, like, I kind of have to, like, remind myself of it now. So when, like, people say something, I don't know, it, like, sticks out to me more than anything else. And then design, like, we're getting very critique heavy lately, and very, like, feedback heavy, and I feel like that's not something I did in high school, to where you talk through your design and you talk through why a user is, like, doing the things that they do. But I think communication is just, like, a very big thing right now for me, so that makes sense. Yeah, that's so wild. You got it right, like, exactly right. That's so weird.
I guess it's just because I know you so well.
Gosh.
I did a mini hair flip for the listeners.
So, Raga, why do you think physical touch dropped so much?
I could not tell you. I don't know what is going on there. I have no clue. But I can also like feel it. I'm definitely just like, look, it's not gonna mean as much to me if you give me a hug. Well, that one hurt. She poked me, Sankalpa poked me.
I literally did like a little boop. And she just like she like just flinched. Oh,
Raga, what percent is physical touch for you?
It's 10%.
10%.
Yeah. Yes.
Interesting.
Oh.
Do you think that part of the reason physical touch dropped is because you spend a lot more time like at like doing work by yourself, and so like with words of affirmation, there's like a bit of distance where like people can send you a text or a phone call, but like it's you on your own, and like I don't really know how I'm phrasing this, but what are your thoughts on that?
No, that makes a lot of sense. I think so too. It's like, because I'm doing a lot of independent work, or not independent, like design is always collaborative, but it's a lot of like me sitting and making iterations of designs and then going back and then like talking about it. So that definitely makes sense. And I think it's like everyone's just like giving each other hugs now, and like everyone's just, you know, very physical touch based, at least like in my life. And so it doesn't mean as much as it used to where it's like kind of just like freely handed out because we're all friends now. But, you know, that's like the least you could do, and then the next step is like words of affirmation. Yeah.
I will say I think people coming out of COVID, because you can like do a little boop to people a lot easier. I feel like it's definitely, I feel like in the past, like physical, I feel like people have been craving physical touch a lot more. There were many, I remember on TikTok, just go outside and touch grass. People
like
were
physically
people were fiending on TikTok. They just needed to touch literally something. So I think that I think with the pandemic, I mean, I feel like it's still pretty bad, but the pandemic getting to a point where it's just like something we're all used to at this point, I think physical touch is like, I think become like people are able to like actually touch each other, which I think is a lot more, I think making it more accessible to people. But yeah, what are your results?
Okay, mine actually, I've always identified as a words of affirmation person. It's just a way that like I'm able to, it's always felt very natural to word my feelings in a specific way, and that's how I would always like show the people around me that I love them. Like I'd write them little notes, and like I remember, I think it was in 8th grade or 9th grade, I would, on like random Fridays, I'd wake up early to like text my friends like really sweet messages that's like, I'm proud of you for like getting through your week and stuff like that. I think I've always just identified with that, and quality time would actually be my top result for a while. Even though, and like words of affirmation would always be second, but I'd always identify with it. And I took the quiz just like Sankalpa and Raga did, and I got words of affirmation as my top one, which I was not surprised by it. But it's 37% words of affirmation, 30% quality time, 20% physical touch, 10% acts of service, and 3% receiving gifts. And like Raga was talking about, I've always had receiving gifts as like 5th place for me. Like I think I do like gifts, and I do appreciate gifts. I just don't think I like the way it's worded on these quizzes.
Yes.
Like a small token of appreciation that just makes me feel really materialistic when I click on it. So I like almost like tune it out in my brain. That's like, oh, like I don't like gifts, but I think everyone likes gifts because it's part of what makes them feel special. And also
That and free stuff.
and free stuff, yes. And like Sankalpa was talking about, or when Raga and I were like trying to guess Sankalpa's love language, I think we all three of us realized that acts of service and receiving gifts are so like closely tied, because giving someone a gift is an act of service, or like even like writing someone a note, that is also an act of service. And so like I think acts of service is actually a lot more broad than I don't even, controversial opinion, but I don't think it should be on this quiz, or I think it should be worded differently, because it is such a general thing where all of these fit into that.
because I feel like acts of service is kind of a combination of quality time and receiving gifts, right?
Mm-hmm.
You love someone so much that you're going to do this thing for them. You're going to be giving them this gift, essentially, of your time, doing some sort of task for them, right? I feel like it's kind of that, like, a hybrid of the two of them.
Yeah.
But I feel like with receiving gifts for me, like, I feel like even if it's just, like, a small thing, even if it's just, like, I mean, it's still, like, I think one of my lower ones, but it's definitely more, like, still, like, 17%, so it's still, like, relatively significant. But I feel like for me now, it's just gotten to a point where, like, just my parents didn't give me gifts that much growing up. Like, my birthday, like, Christmas, we didn't celebrate Christmas growing up. So Christmas would roll around, my parents would give me maybe, like, something around Christmas. They'd be like, oh, cool. But, like, it would just kind of be another holiday. Like, it just wasn't, like, we just don't give gifts that much in my family. So I think that's why, like, I appreciate it more, because when people do, because I'm, like, I'm not used to it. Like, getting, like, a gift for, like, a special occasion or something. And, like, having it be meaningful. Because my parents, this is really sad, but my parents were very much, Amazon gift card people for birthdays. They're like, okay, it's Nitya's birthday, time to pull out the Amazon the stash. They have a stash of Amazon gift cards, of $50 Amazon gift cards, and then $25 for people who don't know that well. So I think that because of that, like, gifts were never, I think, something that I really received that much. So I think for me, it just means so much more.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And also, before we get into, like, the self-expression, like, self-affection part of the episode, I wanted to just kind of talk about, I don't know if y'all know this, my friend Mally from back home, shout out to Mally if you're listening, she and I would talk about love languages all the time, and I think we're both the type of people who, like, when we're, like, interested in someone, like, romantically, or, like, when we make a new friend, we always ask them their love language so we can, like, love them in the way that makes the most sense to them. And also, that was, like, one thing that she's, like, taught me about love languages, to do that, and I am very grateful for that. And another comment that, like, really sticks with me that she said is, your love language is the type of affection you didn't receive as a child. And I think it's kind of, like, a common theme for Desi parents to not tell their kids that they love them. Like, they'll do the thing where they, like, cut fruit for their kids.
Right.
Like, we talked about that when we were brainstorming. But yeah, that's just, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I totally agree, because I feel like my parents were also very, like, acts of service. Like, like, my dad is, like, he drives, like, 40 minutes to work every single day. Like, no, it would be, like, an hour commute, like, every day. There and back, is each, like, an hour. And, you know, we live so far away because they wanted to give me the best opportunity for school. So I feel like my parents have always been acts of service people.
Yeah.
They will, like, go out of their way to make my life better. And I don't think I, like, fully, like, realized how much my parents were acts of service people until, I think, very late in my life. I don't think until, like, maybe, like, a couple months ago did I realize, like, oh, my parents really like gift giving, and they really like small things. Like, my mom always complains that I don't get her anything on her birthday, but I was like, you never gave me anything on my birthday. Well, she will give me an Amazon gift card. I consistently get an Amazon gift card on my birthday. Or sometimes if she's feeling frisky, Visa. So, you know, I didn't really get that many, like, gifts growing up, but, like, just, like, randomly. So, but my mom, it's, like, very much one of her love languages, at least, like, she really likes receiving gifts. So I learned that very late. Like, I just got her a basil plant because I saw it in Trader Joe's, and I was like, oh, my mom I know she wanted, like, basil, and, like, she really liked planting, but she sort of got out of it, so I just got her this, and, like, when I tell you, she tended to this little basil plant and, like, made sure that, like, it was doing super well. And it, like, I think I visited and it was thriving, and then it died, but, like, it's because it was winter, so, like, it really just wasn't meant to live forever. But it was, like, I, like, had no idea, like, that was the love languages that she would, like, prioritize. But receiving gifts, I think, isn't, like, even though, like, I didn't get that much, it's still one of my, like, lower love languages. But, like, I know that, like, words of, like, physical touch, like, my parents would hug me all the time as a kid, like, which is weird for Desi parents. Like, my mom would, like, loves hugging me, like, whenever she's upset, whenever we're mad at each other, kind of at the end of an argument, we'll hug each other. or I'll always ask like, do you need a hug right now, and she always like kind of accept it. But like, so because like it's, I guess, so normal to me, it kind of like means less, I guess, maybe. But I don't know, my parents were very acts of service people, so I don't know, like I like see some truth in like it's like what you lack, but maybe it's, I think there's some more nuance in there.
Yeah, and I feel like that's something that, you know, we haven't figured out yet, but maybe there is some truth to that that statement. But also you kind of talked about like the way your parents showed you affection, but I also know that your dad makes chai for your mom almost every morning.
He does. It's literally like every single morning. So my dad wakes up early. My dad wakes up at like 4 a.m., 4 or 5 a.m. almost every single day. He goes to bed at like 12, so he's always like sleepy. And my parents, neither of my parents drink coffee, like ever when they're at home. They exclusively drink ginger chai. And for our non-Desi listeners, chai is tea. It really just means tea. And we have like our little special like masala blend, so it's really good. So my dad will make that for my mom every single day. Like he makes really good ginger chai, and he makes it like really, it's aggressively gingery, and he makes that like every single morning for her, and like we'll bring her that. So it's like that's kind of how I think my dad shows his love that way for my mom, through that like active service of like making her tea every day. And like he makes himself some too, but like it's my mom that's drinking most of it. So yeah,
That's really sweet.
it is like really sweet. And it's like, even though like they don't really necessarily say like I love you to each other a lot, and they argue a good amount, I feel like they still are able to show their love for each other in that way, through like small actions.
Yeah, and now that we've like kind of talked about it, I think that there's two like sides of the whole, like your love language is either the way you did receive love as a kid, or it's the way that you received the most love, and the love that you observed the most as a kid. I think that could be like something that adds on to that that statement. I think that makes a lot of sense.
That does.
What about you, Raga? What would you say about that?
I don't know. I think that makes sense. I'm like not talking a lot because my allergies. I've been fighting off a sneeze for the last 10 minutes. But no, I would say that too, because Sankalpa, you were saying like, you know, acts of service was definitely your parents' thing, and words of affirmation are my parents' thing for sure. Like it, like our entire family, like they're very words of affirmations based, and acts of service, which is like my second highest. So I don't know. I wouldn't say I think like if anything, I also lacked the receiving gifts part of, you know, the love languages when I was growing up, because we were also a gift card family. But we were a gift card family later in our gift giving journey. So once I entered the double digits, and all my friends were in the double digits, that's when the gift cards started going out. Before that though,
It was Legos.
oh my god, yeah, it was like Legos, or like actually no, that's not even true. Maybe it was like Toys R Us gift cards. Maybe I'm just like remembering wrong. But yeah, I don't know. And I think like as much as gift giving does fall into acts of service, also I'm thinking about like when I get gifts, like I appreciate it for sure, but at the same time I'm never like, this means a lot to me. Like I'm always like, oh, it's sweet that you thought of me. But it's also like, I know that if they said something, that would like rank higher.
So I have a question about that. So if you give someone a gift,
Uh-huh.
how is that different from someone giving you a gift? Like, is there a lot more like thought and intention put behind it? Especially since it is like one of your lowest love languages. Like if you're giving someone a gift, how does that differ, I think, from the way that I guess you feel?
Okay, that is a really good question, because I'm a horrible gift giver. Like, I'm terrible at it. Like, birthdays, like, I'll give a gift. And yes, there's a gift card attached to it somewhere. I'll, like, do the thing, because I found out very early that I, like, suck at thinking of, like, what to give people. And I, like, can't walk into a Target without, like, absolutely just wanting to, like, sit down and think about it somewhere. But I, like, buy a bunch of mini gifts and make, like, a basket or something. Like, that's my idea of, like, a good-ish gift.
That's a good-ish gift.
Right? Because it's like mini things, so it's like, you know, like psychologically, if you think about it, it'll add up to where if you're happy a bunch of mini times, it'll be like worth something.
That's psychological manipulation.
You gotta do what you gotta do, okay? But like in general, birthdays for me, I'll like send really, really long texts. I have like I have like a few pages in my notes app where it's like I'll like craft texts and stuff, and it'll be like based on how old you're turning, it'll be like 16 reasons why I love you type things, you know? But those I spend more time on than I do the actual gifts. So I don't know, I consider my words of affirmation also like being a part of like gift giving, but yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something that we talked about when we were brainstorming is how in Desi culture it feels like a lot of the time affection is earned. And as a words of affirmation person, I definitely see that. Like if I got like a bad grade on a test, my parents would always say like, I'm disappointed, like you could have done better. And part of that was always used as motivation for me to want to do better. And because the way they reacted was always like so loving, like they'd come give me a hug, they're like, I'm so proud of you. And so I think like, not to bring up this psychological conditioning again, but I think as a kid I was just like psychologically conditioned to want to be better, to hear that like validation from your parents. And that's like really dark, kind of, but that's also like really lighthearted at the same time. And also not another dark comment, but like my parents don't flat out tell me that they love me. And I remember when they were dropping me off at UT, like we were literally in this very spot that we're recording, and I think my mom told me that like she loved me, and I was trying so hard to keep it together, and the second they left I just completely lost it. Not because I was at college, because I'm so happy to be here, was always so happy to be here, but because like just people telling me they love me always throws me off. Like it's one thing to be like illy, like ILY, but it's another thing to be like I love you, and like to write all of those words out. And that's always like meant a lot to me. And one time my grandma told me she loved me at the end of a phone call, and I think I was at Flan, which is like a, what is that, UT? A study area?
Yeah, it's a study area.
Yeah, it's just a study area. And that's like where everyone has their group projects or anything. So there's like a lot of people there. And I was on the phone call with my grandma at Flan, and like in the middle of this building, I just started like bawling because I'm just not used to hearing that. And when I do hear it from someone, it does mean a lot to me. Yeah. I feel awkward now because I got very personal.
Yeah. No, I feel like love languages are definitely just a very personal thing at the end of the day, because I think it has a lot to do with how we're raised, and it's a very personal thing, how the way that you love. I feel like it's obviously very different from person to person, and I think that like one of the difficulties with relationships is like that like disconnect, and like, oh well, this is how I'm showing you love, but like I don't register the way that you give me love as a form of love, you know? It's like, and I think being aware of that, I think the love languages quiz is really helpful in understanding that, because I think it wasn't until I was 17 that I realized, oh my god, my mom is an acts of service person.
Yeah.
Weird. Yeah.
Okay, mixing it up, let's get into our second topic, self-expression. Sankalpa, how do you think self-expression and affection tie together?
I think that self-expression is probably one of the best forms of self-love, because it's something that's so, I feel like it's so simple, and it doesn't necessarily cost that much, but it's essentially kind of how I always think of it is making your outside look like your inside. So like if you feel sparkles and rainbows, I'm putting on the sparkles and rainbows. Apparently my inside is feeling like JoJo Siwa today. Yeah, and I think that's something beautiful, and I think a lot of people find it materialistic. So what do you guys think about that?
I think that there's nothing wrong with liking material things. I'm fighting the urge to say a specific phrase right now.
I can feel it.
Material boy. Yeah.
Shout out Saucy Santana.
Oh my god, no shout out to Saucy Santana. One of the main reasons I wanted to have Sankalpa on this episode is because the first thing I noticed about her was her outfits. And like, you look at her and you know she's a thrift store baddie, and she like knows the right things to find at the thrift store, and like knows how to upcycle and like sew clothes. And I don't know, I find that just like so gravitating, because people like that tend to be really creative and like artsy, and that's definitely something that Sankalpa is. And I've noticed that like as I've gotten to know her better. And I definitely think that, you know, with everyone, it's okay to like outfits and stuff like that. You were going back to like the materialistic question. I don't think materialistic would ever be the right word. I think it's just okay to like things, like clothes, like makeup, like fashion. Mm-hmm. It's self-expression, and that is self-affection.
Yeah, I think I would agree. I feel like it's weird because I was like kind of growing up, like my parents always told me like, you know, like don't buy too many things, like, you know, like, because it is, you know, considered materialistic, and I feel like that was very common to hear growing up. But I'm now recently figuring out that you don't have to feel guilty if you make a purchase for yourself, because I mean retail therapy for one. But at the same time, it's also like, if you're trying to be someone different or do something that's a little out of the ordinary for you, like the first step and the easiest step is to kind of like reflect that on the outside. In a way that I've found that to be easy for me is to like change up my look a little bit. Yeah.
Going back to the whole makeup thing, Sankalpa, I just wanted to ask you, like, when did you start to get into makeup, and what was your experience with that?
Yeah, that one's fun because, I mean, I think my mom was always very, like, no makeup. So she had her little CoverGirl powder that was not her skin tone because, I don't know, like, not even just, like, her being, like, in her Fair and Lovely, being, like, trying to be, like, lighter than she was. She just doesn't know how to use makeup. Like, she's just very bad at it. Love you, Mom. And she basically didn't allow me to use makeup until I was, I think, a freshman in high school. Mm-hmm. She didn't allow me to buy it. And I remember, like, we went together to Bed Bath & Beyond, and I bought my little Fit Me Maybelline foundation because we were having, like, a school dance or something. It was homecoming freshman year. And I was like, okay, well, I need to buy makeup for this. She didn't allow me to, like, make us really wear makeup until then. But, like, you know, I'd get, like, gifts every once in a while, and I'd use those. So that was that. And I think one of the first gifts of makeup that I ever got was this MAC eye kohl pencil, and it was in this gold color. And because it was just this pencil and it was really the only like makeup item I'd have, I'd kind of just like, I was playing around, I think, with like smearing it on it, because it is kind of a bold thing. I was trying to figure out how to, like, I think because this was 2017, which I feel like was ending a bad era for makeup. Yeah. That was off the tail of the Instagram brow, which I never liked. I feel like I just never liked how just like artificial it looked. Yeah. But yeah, and then I think I got really, over quarantine, I think I got really into makeup as like, in terms of just, I really liked the colors, and I really just thought like colorful makeup was so pretty. And I never thought it was something that like I could do, because like I was like, oh, the pigment isn't gonna show up on my skin tone. But I think I did some research, and honestly, like, if you just put like white concealer on, or like just really light concealer, colors look good. So I think that that's something that's, I think, really fun for me. I think to just play around with makeup and use that as a form of self-expression. I think it's a way for me to feel very much like myself. And it's, I think, a complicated relationship, because sometimes I feel like dependent on makeup to like feel pretty, but I think at the end of the day I still really do like it, because it is just a fun way for me to sit down and be like, okay, here are these two colors, how can I put them together in a way that looks cool? But Gia, you also, I think, have always had like very, very cool makeup looks.
Thank you.
And I want to hear about your experience with makeup.
Okay. So growing up, okay. I'm trying to put an age to this, and I'd probably say like 7. My mom, I would always ask for like lip glosses because I'd see my mom putting her makeup on, and she is like she loved her everyday makeup. Like she would do her powder, her blush, her eyeliner, and that's it. And like growing up, I'd watch her do that, and I like always just admired that a lot. And so I would ask for like lipsticks and lip glosses, and I'd carry around like a little purse with me wherever I went.
That's
and
so
I'd
cute.
put like 3 lip glosses in it. And every day I'd be like, let me pick out my jewelry for today. And it was like 2 necklaces and like a shit ton of bracelets.
She was a baddie.
I was a baddie.
She had
But
silly bands and everything.
what?
The silly bands.
Oh no, this was pre-silly band era.
Oh.
It was early. So it was like 6th grade.
No.
Yeah, this was like
Fourth,
2nd
it was
grade
fourth
for
for
me.
us.
It was 1st and 2nd for me.
Oh. Yeah, it was not 6th grade. It was like 5th, I think. 5th or 4th.
Definitely had to be elementary.
Probably.
Yeah.
Anyways, so like I was always very interested in like jewelry and outfits and hair, and I'd always match my hair bow to like the lip gloss I was putting
So
on.
cute.
And my parents would get mad at me, and they'd be like, you know, you're going to school. It's not a fashion show.
Oh, we all heard that line.
Yeah, and so like I definitely like dimmed it down because I didn't. Again, very words of affirmation of me. Hearing that my parents didn't like something, I was very quick to be like, I'm not allowed to do this.
Yeah.
And me being 7 years old, I didn't understand the whole self-expression thing, obviously. And so I just, I kind of stopped, and I didn't really get back into makeup until I was in high school. I was finally allowed to start wearing makeup my freshman year of high school, kind of like you, Sankalpa. My first makeup product was mascara,
Ooh.
and it was the, I think, Be Real Benefit mascara. And I got the sample size from Sephora because my mom had like done some shopping at Sephora, and she's like, I got the sample, do you want it? And this was the summer right before high school had started, so I was like playing around with it, and I felt so pretty. And then I got an eyelash curler, and as my freshman year went on, my mom was like, oh, I think you might like powder now, like let's try powder. And then I tried powder, and she was like, try blush, but don't put too much on. Like, you want to look your age. That was a very big thing that my mom, like, drilled in me. And I always saw makeup as a way to be pretty instead of artistic expression, which definitely harmed me when I was younger. But anyways, fast forward until my freshman year of college now. Meeting Sankalpa definitely, like, kickstarted my fuel for like makeup expression. Like I would watch makeup videos all the time as a kid, and I finally had the confidence to now I have the confidence to do a green eyeliner and like purple all over my lid and match it to my outfit and like match my earrings to it and stuff like that. And I think partially it felt easier in high school, freshman year of college this year, to be more expressive because I see so many people at UT who are so expressive with the way they look, and that's honestly very inspiring to me. Yeah. And Raga, when did you get into makeup? And then I have a follow-up question for that.
Okay.
When did you make the smudgy eyeliner your friend?
Yes.
Okay.
Because if y'all have never seen Raga in person, she always has this absolutely perfectly smoked out, like, smudgy eyeliner, like, almost every single time I see her. Like, it's actually incredible. I'm always like, so did you just come back from, like, a night out? Or you just, like, made like that? Like, it's just chef's kiss.
Nice. I love it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well that's like really new. That's something I started doing only after I came here. But I would say my whole journey with makeup started very, very early too. I would say when I was 3, I started buying like feel like the kits of makeup that they used to have when we were kids,
Yeah.
except for like it's like associated with a candy. Like they would make like the like shoot, what are they called? I know there was like a Smarties kit and like they would all and so that's kind of where stuff started for me. But it was that, and then spending so much time at Claire's and Justice, and like, oh my god, I lived there. I loved it. And then, you know, like all my parents' friends would see that I was like obsessed with this stuff, and so they would like gift it to me too. And my mom was always like, no makeup, like you can't, like don't start this early, you don't know what's in them, like you don't want to ruin your skin, like you don't want to put something in your eyes. And I didn't get it. Back then I was like, look, if something bad happens, at least I look like really good. And so I guess like it started as a way for me to just, you know, figure out what I liked. But the more my mom said no, the more I wanted to do it out of spite. So it started to kind of take on this, I guess, like rebellious tone, and that was like really what drew me to it. I would like try to like sneak makeup into the house and stuff. Not that I would have to. I feel like my mom would have understood, but it was just more exciting that way. But yeah, so like early on, I was very obsessed with all the things, bracelets, necklaces, earrings. Oh, earrings, so many earrings. And my aunt in India, oh my gosh, she has such good taste. It's like I aspire to be at her level. She buys like all the most quality things, you know, and then they do the thing where they like go to other towns where like whatever they're buying is actually made and like get it from there. So it's like, I know it's so cool. But so we'd go and we'd spend summers in India, and being around that, you know, I would like go to the earring stores with her and just like buy racks and racks and I'd try to like fit it in my pink suitcase on the way back. I remember TSA stopped me once.
Oh no!
This is when I was like maybe 11 or 12, but they stopped me and they reached into my jewelry bag and they pulled out like a clump of like tangled up necklaces. Like, we thought this was a weapon, you're good. But yeah, I think like, you know, having family that was also really into it helped me figure out that I liked quality more than I liked just like buying things to buy things. So I feel like that made me feel less guilty about it. I was like, there's a purpose. Like even if, you know, my parents were saying no, don't do it, as much as I could have felt like invalidated by that, there was other people in my life that, you know, encouraged it. So I feel like I'm glad that I didn't have to feel as guilty as I could have. But then when I moved to India, because we were living in the same town as said aunt, so she's the one that like, she would wear eyeliner like all the time. You would never see her without eyeliner. Like that was her thing. I know. And so I started using eyeliner when I was about 9 years old. But I would do like only the bottom, like, and then it'd be like the darkest kohl stick, and it was just way too intense. But you know, my mom would be like, you have to look your age, like don't be like putting too much eyeliner on. So I put more on. And then I think once I turned 12, that's kind of when I like figured it out. I was like, okay, like this is the right eyeliner to use, this is like the places you buy it from, here's like maybe Triangle Wing. But yeah, I think ever since I was like 9 years old, there's never been a time where I didn't use eyeliner. Like it was just so rare for me. And even now it's like I feel weird without my eyeliner on. It's like a part of me. I think once I moved here, moved back here, it was like seeing all like these makeup stores. Like we didn't have that in our town in India. There was like one place maybe you could get stuff, but it was like really rare to see. And it was also like makeup is like, it's not considered a big thing in India. Like there wasn't really a market for it. And also it's like, well, yeah, exactly. And then it's like way too much. They only have like glittery eyeshadow palettes and that's about it. But you know, and especially because it like caters to women in India, and they don't put that stuff in the front of the stores. You have to like ask for it, and they'll bring it out from the back storeroom. It was really bad. But then moving here and seeing like Sephora's like everywhere, Ulta Beauty's everywhere, it was just like a lot. And so that's kind of when I was like, oh, I have access to the things I want now. Like I can go out and get them. And I think that's when I started like experimenting more, figuring out like what I liked. And slowly the smoky eyeliner look, years in the making. It started with like very bold wings through like my freshman, sophomore year of high school, and then junior year I started to like tone it down a little bit, and then senior year, once we went into like lockdown, like I didn't touch makeup for like months on end because I just didn't want to like wake up and put anything on. I was like, there's no way. But then I feel like once, you know, we started like getting out and like going places, I found like my interest for it again, and it just felt like a part of me was missing up until I started using makeup again.
Yeah.
It just felt so good to like sit down, and it's like a ritual in the morning to like kind of just set the pace for the day, like take out my makeup bag and like put stuff on. And I actually did a design project about it, like yeah, because it was like such an important part of my day. But it just felt really great. And so I think once I established it as a part of my day last semester, that's kind of when I took the time to like understand how each product worked. And then I did research into the companies, and I made sure, you know, they were ethical, all of that. And now it's just like this highly cultivated, like for my mental health type routine.
Yeah.
But I'd say like overall it's just like really big part of me, and I didn't realize it either, that, you know, it was even a part of my identity. It was kind of just like, oh, like who hasn't had experiences with, but I would say it ties a lot to my family, who, you know, like given that we live in like different countries, it's like hard to feel connected to them sometimes, but every time I go back I can always talk to like any of the women in my family about like the eyeliner I use, or like where we should go shopping and what earrings they want to buy for me. Yeah. And I feel like once I got my nose pierced, everyone was so excited for me. It was wild, because my aunt got her nose pierced when she was younger, except for she wasn't allowed to have it, so she had to take it out. Except she didn't tell anyone, and she kind of just came home pierced, and I was like, I want to do that so bad, so that's what I did. But yeah, I would say I don't know, it just feels great to know that you can do whatever you want to like just feel the way that you do inside on the outside too. So yeah, that's my journey with it.
That's really cool. Okay, so we talked about a lot this episode. We talked about, you know, self-expression, and we also talked about, you know, affection we received growing up from our parents, and we took a love languages test. And I just wanted to ask y'all, like, how do you think it went?
Everyone's looking at me.
Yeah, I really liked it. First of all, thank you so much for having me on. But secondly, I thought it was very, very enlightening, and I don't know, there was just so much more that like I would just want to talk about, like especially like regarding, I think, makeup and self-expression, and like so many different forms of that. Like, I mean, like, me and Raga both have tattoos, and like how that feels, and like, you know, like I guess like how self-expression isn't exactly like always in different cultures. Like I feel like in Indian culture it's maybe not as prioritized because it feels selfish. Like just so much more that I wanted to talk about, and I feel like we only really hit the surface of that just because it's just an endless topic. But I really liked what you talked about, and I thought it was so interesting, and I think it really gave me a good perspective hearing it from people who had different experiences from me. What about you, Raga? How did you feel about it?
Honestly, it was like such a good episode. I had so much fun talking about it and hearing about it too, and I think it's like not something that I give enough credit to. I'm still like working through it, so like trying to break that belief where it's like, you know, you don't have to feel selfish for like investing in something that you genuinely believe is like a part of yourself. But yeah, I don't know, I never really thought about it in terms of like, I guess, women in my family. I feel like that's something that I just like kind of thought about
It's like
right now. Yeah,
which
I
I think
know.
is so beautiful.
It's like so important too, because there's so much that we're discredited for, but this is like a way that we can feel like we have some sort of ownership over how we present ourselves, right? Yeah. So it was really, really cool talking about that, and I never really even thought about it in terms of my family. Like that was really cool to even think about. But yeah, I think it was a really good episode, and I'm really, really glad we all got to talk about it in Sankalpa. You got to come on.
Recording.
But yeah, no, so you mentioned tattoos. You should definitely talk about your tattoo.
Oh yeah, I'll do a quick little thing on my tattoo.
Yeah.
So I have actually Gia actually has to take some credit for my tattoo. Gia did a tarot card reading for me at the beginning of the school year. It was September, like early September, and at the time I think I was just very like, very like. When I have crushes on people, I get like low-key obsessive, which is concerning, but that's a problem for another time. I had like a crush, and like I came in, like Gia was like, I was like, Gia, like they were all doing like tarot card readings. I was like, oh, can you do one for me? And then I think the reading was kind of depressing, and they were kind of just like, hey, you need to like figure your shit out, and like you need to, I think, kind of get it together a little bit, and like kind of focus on yourself, I think, before really being able, like, the things that you think that you want are not actually what you need. And I think it was kind of like meh, but like I think like it totally came true, like exactly as it was predicted. And the last card she pulled was the Queen of Swords, and it was upright. And the way that Gia always described it for me is like feminine energy, and like kind of essentially putting yourself first, and then just believing, having the highest standards because you know you deserve it. And that's something I really wanted to embody in my life, because I feel like sometimes I don't prioritize myself as much as I do. So I had one of my friends, Aaron, shout out Aaron if you're listening, I had him drop like a little, like I just told him, like, hey, could you just draw like a Queen of Swords? And he's like, can you give me more direction? I'm like, no. And I just had him draw something up. So yeah, and I got that tattooed on my arm at this tattoo shop in Austin. They have like a Monday thing where like it's mini Mondays, and you'll get like a discounted tattoo. So it was only like $55, so it was pretty cheap, and I really love it. It's like when my I always look like at my arm. It's like right on my forearm. I think it's my forearm. I don't know what this is.
Bicep?
Yeah.
It's my bicep. So like it's like right next. Like it's very easy for me to just like lift up like my like little t-shirt sleeve and just look at it and just be like, remind myself that like I'm worth it. And I think that that's something that's very nice.
Yeah.
So Gia, how do you feel about the episode?
I feel really good about it. I'm really happy we got to talk about self-expression, and something that I feel like we could definitely get into next time is like our relationship with our hair as like basic girls. And I know, Raga, you have wavy hair, Sankalpa, you have curly hair, and I have straight hair, and like the personal relationship that brown girls have with their hair is so personal, and I would definitely like to talk about
oil.
that. Yeah, coconut oil.
Yes.
And like braiding it before you go to sleep. Like I would love to talk about that, and like the desi point of view, and like your relationship with that. We can definitely talk about that another time. Like you were talking about Sankalpa. There's so much more that we could talk about with this episode. But before we close, Raga, do you want to talk about your tattoo real quick?
Oh yeah, my tattoo. Okay, my tattoo's a butterfly on my forearm. Yeah, everyone says it's basic, which like yes, but also
it's basic if you like it and it makes
right?
you happy.
Yeah, the thing is, I've wanted a butterfly tattoo for like forever, for like years and years, before it was a thing on all of our Pinterest feeds. Okay, I want to say I was there first, but
She was the original indie girl.
I was. Anyways, so I got a tattoo of a butterfly because I think one of the things that I've noticed in my life is just like change is always so constant. Like I mark my time out by like changes. I see things as like up until I moved to India, then after I moved, and then like back, and just like life events that have really marked the way that I see my life. I don't see it in any other way except that, and I think like change is the one thing that makes me feel safe, weirdly enough. And I feel like my life has been structured in a way where it's like if you step back and look at it, it's just like a crazy mess of like weird changes that no one could have predicted, that just makes me feel like so happy to think that like all of this has happened, and it's only been like 19 years. But I don't know, I think that it's like important for me to also remember that like nothing is permanent. Like I might feel like really intense about, which my emotions and me that's another thing, but I like get like really into how I feel, and I'm like I get to a point where I'm like convinced that that's just how I'm going to feel forever. But it's like a good reminder that, you know, things are always changing and evolving, and we always have room to grow. So that's why I got a butterfly.
Yeah.
And one thing really small that I wanted to point out is that you're also wearing butterfly earrings
Yes, we
today.
both
We're both wearing
are.
butterfly
Yeah.
earrings, which was not planned. But
Yeah.
I love that you love butterflies. Like, that's so cute.
Thank you. I love that I love butterflies too.
Yes. Okay. And again, Sankalpa, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Oh, we love you.
All right. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're listening to Espresso Shot on YouTube.
And if you're listening on Spotify, don't forget to click follow.
It would also mean a lot to us if you followed us on Instagram at espresso_shotties. That's ESPRESSO_SHOTTIES. And we hope that y'all have a beautiful day. Bye, shotties.
Bye.